My friends, one of the greatest lessons the Stoics left us is the art of listening. Seneca himself reminded us that nature gave us 2 ears but only one mouth, so that we might listen twice as much as we speak. Yet when a man interrupts you, he reveals something essential about his soul. He does not listen to understand, he listens only to reply. This is not dialogue, this is not reason, this is not wisdom. It is ego disguised as conversation. The man who interrupts is not interested in your truth. He does not care about the clarity of your thought. He does not care about the path of reason. Instead, he is waiting, like a soldier in ambush, not to engage with your ideas, but to overrun them with his own. This, my friends, is not strength. It is weakness. The Stoic knows that the wise man listens deeply, because to listen is to sharpen the mind, to refine judgment, to temper the ego. The one who interrupts proves his mind is dull, his patience thin, and his arrogance overflowing. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You must remain quiet, or say only what is necessary, and in few words. Consider the weight of those words. If wisdom is found in restraint, then interruption is the opposite. It is wasteful, reckless, and unnecessary. It is the mouth outrunning the mind." Beware the man who does this, because he has already betrayed his lack of self-command. But let me go further. The interrupter not only dishonors himself, but he dishonors you. To interrupt is to say, "My voice matters more than yours." It is an act of dismissal. A man who interrupts cannot practice justice, because justice demands that we give each their due. If he cannot grant you the simple justice of being heard, how will he ever respect you in greater matters? How will he treat your struggles, your principles, your dignity? Here is the Stoic shield. Do not let his interruption disturb your inner stillness. Do not answer noise with more noise. Do not let impatience pull you from the seat of reason. For the Stoic knows that every interruption is an opportunity to practice patience, to exercise self-command, to let the other reveal himself without you lifting a finger. So beware the man who interrupts you, for he is telling you loudly what he lacks: discipline, humility, and wisdom. His tongue is swift, but his understanding is slow. His ego is vast, but his character is small. And the Stoic smiles at such men, because their noise cannot touch the fortress of silence that guards his soul. The Stoics taught us that freedom is not found in wealth, not in power, not in position, but in mastery of the self. A man who cannot govern his impulses is no different from a slave chained to his desires, forever dragged by them wherever they choose to go. And when a man interrupts you, what is he showing? He is showing that he has no command over himself. His tongue runs before his mind has given it permission. His impatience is louder than his reason. His impulses lead him like a master pulling a dog on a leash. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, warned us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet here is the man who interrupts. He has no power over his mind, no control over his need to speak, no ability to sit in silence and let another finish. He believes he is asserting himself, but in truth he is exposing his weakness. For self-control is strength, and the lack of it is slavery. Think of the river, my friends. The river that flows steadily and calmly carves mountains, nourishes valleys, creates life. But the flood that bursts uncontrolled destroys everything in its path. Such is the difference between a man who masters his impulses and a man who is mastered by them. The interrupter is the flood, loud, chaotic, destructive, unable to hold himself back. And the Stoic is the steady river, calm, patient, unstoppable. The man who interrupts you believes he is powerful because he has spoken. But Epictetus reminds us, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. And what is an interruption if not a desperate attempt to provoke, to control the flow, to seize the floor? If you react with anger, he has succeeded. He has pulled you down to his level of impatience. But if you remain still, if you hold your ground in calmness, then you reveal his slavery to impulse and your freedom from it. Beware of this kind of man, because if he cannot control his tongue in the smallest matters, how will he control his life in greater ones? If he cannot master the simple discipline, of listening, how will he master his desires, his anger, his greed, his fear? A Stoic knows. The man who interrupts you is not merely impatient with you. He is impatient with life itself. And impatience with life is a poison that eats away at peace. So let him rush. Let him stumble over his words. Let him reveal the chains of his impulses, for while he is prisoner to his tongue, you remain free. While he is servant to impatience, you remain master of yourself. And in the stillness of your silence, his noise becomes nothing more than an echo of weakness. That is the victory of the Stoic, not to silence the world, but to remain unshaken within it. Pride, my friends, is one of the oldest poisons of the human soul. It blinds a man before it destroys him. When a man interrupts you, what is he truly saying? He is declaring, my voice is more important than yours, my wisdom greater, my thoughts superior. But the Stoics knew the truth. A man who believes he already knows everything has closed the gates of learning, and a closed mind is a dead mind. Epictetus warned us plainly, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The interrupter does not pause, does not reflect, does not wait, because in his blindness he believes there is nothing you can offer him. He believes wisdom begins and ends with his own mouth. This is not strength, this is not mastery, this is pride, and pride is ignorance dressed in fine clothing. Consider how the wise conduct themselves. Socrates, one of the greatest thinkers, admitted often that he knew nothing. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, ruler of millions, wrote in his private meditations with humility, reminding himself not to be swollen with pride. Seneca, though a teacher of emperors, spoke of the necessity to remain a student of life. True greatness listens. True greatness bends. True greatness is humble enough to learn. But the man who interrupts cannot bend. He cannot lower his head to listen. His pride stiffens his neck, blinds his vision, and deafens his ears. Beware this man, for when pride blinds him, he cannot see truth, even when it stands before him. He cannot see reason, even when it shines like the sun. He cannot see respect, even when it is offered freely. Instead, he crashes blindly into conversation, interrupting, cutting, speaking over, believing he has won something. But what has he won? Nothing but the exposure of his own arrogance. And yet, here lies the wisdom of Stoicism. Do not meet his pride with your pride, for if you answer arrogance with arrogance, both of you fall. A Stoic does not need to prove superiority through words. A Stoic proves it through calmness, through patience, through silence that humbles the arrogant more than argument ever could. The man who interrupts may believe he has conquered the moment, but in truth, he has lost it. His pride has chained him to ignorance. His pride has blinded him to wisdom. His pride has revealed to all that his voice is not strong but desperate. And you, if you remain calm, if you remain grounded, if you refuse to let pride blind you in return, you stand taller without speaking a single word. So beware the man who interrupts you, not because he can wound you, but because he has already wounded himself. His pride is a wall around his soul. His pride is a shadow over his reason. His pride blinds him, and the blinded man cannot lead, cannot teach, cannot truly live. My friends, Stoicism is built upon one great foundation, reason. Reason is what separates man from beast, discipline from chaos, wisdom from folly. To live as a Stoic is to live in harmony with reason, to weigh words before speaking, to judge calmly before acting, to let thought guide action instead of impulse. And yet, when a man interrupts you, what does he do? He disrespects reason itself. The interrupter does not enter conversation as a seeker of truth. He does not wait to hear the full measure of your thought, nor does he allow reason to unfold. Instead, he cuts it short, slices it in half, and replaces it with his own noise. This is not dialogue, this is disorder. It is not reason, but reaction. It is not wisdom, but vanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong, show me where. Am mistaken, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth, and the truth has never harmed anyone." This is the Stoic's way, to place truth above pride, to place reason above ego. But the interrupter cannot do this because he does not seek truth at all. He seeks only victory. His interruption is not an offering to reason, it is an attack against it. It is a refusal to stand on the battlefield of ideas, and instead a desperate attempt to shout the other down. Beware this man, for if he cannot respect reason in conversation, he will not respect reason in life. If he will not allow truth to be spoken, he will not allow justice to be practiced. He will build his house not on solid thought, but on the shifting sands of arrogance. And when the storm comes, as storms always do, such a house cannot stand. But here is the discipline of the Stoic. You must not let his disrespect of reason shake your own. If he interrupts, you must not be rushed into anger. If he cuts across your words, you must not let your mind be cut from calmness. For the true test of philosophy is not what happens when the world is quiet, but what happens when it is loud. Do you hold to reason when reason is disrespected? Do you remain patient when others rush? Do you guard the fortress of your mind when others try to storm it with noise? That is the Stoic challenge. The man who interrupts believes he has proven himself clever, but in reality, he has revealed his foolishness. For reason belongs to the patient, not the hasty. Truth belongs to the listener, not the talker. Wisdom belongs to the man who waits, not the one who rushes. To interrupt is to disrespect the very tool that elevates man above chaos, so beware of him. Not because his words have power over you, but because his lack of reason will eventually consume him. A Stoic must see through the noise, past the interruption, into the truth that the man who disrespects reason disrespects himself first. My friends, the world often mistakes noise for power. A man who interrupts, who speaks over others, who pushes his words into the air as if they were commands, is often believed by the shallow to be strong. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that true strength is calm, not chaotic, steady, not restless, measured, not reckless, and the man who interrupts reveals not his power, but his weakness. Think carefully. Does the oak tree shout while it stands unshaken by the storm? Does the mountain boast as it towers over valleys? No, their strength is silent, unshakable, unbothered. Only the weak feel the need to shout, to rush, to interrupt. The man who interrupts betrays that his inner world is fragile. He cannot sit in silence without trembling. He cannot hear another's words without feeling threatened. He cannot wait for truth to unfold, for he fears it will expose the poverty of his own thoughts. Seneca wrote, "The greatest empire is to be master of oneself. A man who interrupts you shows he is no emperor of himself. He is conquered, not by armies, but by insecurity. His tongue is quicker than his mind, his pride louder than his patience, his fear stronger than his wisdom." And so, what he believes is power, the act of dominating the conversation, is nothing but the display of his own lack of control. Beware this man, for he is not strong enough to listen, not calm enough to wait, not disciplined enough to allow silence. The Stoic knows that listening is a mark of strength, because listening requires patience. The Stoic knows that silence is a mark of confidence, because silence requires inner security. The interrupter has neither. He mistakes volume for influence and haste for authority, but the wise see through the illusion. Here is the paradox. The man who interrupts speaks the loudest, yet says the least. His strength is a mask, thin and brittle. His interruption is his confession. He may command the moment, but he does not command himself. He may silence another, but he cannot silence the turmoil inside. He may appear bold, but boldness without discipline is nothing but recklessness. And here is the power of the Stoic response. You need not battle him with equal noise. You need not wrestle with his weakness. Simply remain still, composed, unshaken. For in your calmness, his weakness is exposed more clearly than any words you could speak. The more he interrupts, the more he reveals. The more he reveals, the less he hides. And the less he hides, the more obvious it becomes to all. He is not strong, but weak. So beware of the man who interrupts you, not out of fear, but out of clarity. See him for what he is, a man trembling behind noise, a man enslaved by insecurity, a man who confuses interruption with power. The Stoic sees past appearances and knows true strength is silent, steady, and self-controlled. The foundation of Stoicism, my friends, is not comfort, not ambition, not glory, but virtue. Virtue is the highest good, the compass of the wise, the unshakable law that governs the life of one who seeks peace and strength. And what is virtue built upon? Justice, wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. These are the four pillars that hold up the Stoic way. Now look closely at the man who interrupts you. Does he stand upon these pillars, or does he trample them beneath his feet? To interrupt is to dishonor justice. Justice is giving each man his due, respecting the voice of another as much as you respect your own. But the interrupter denies you your turn, denies you your right, denies you your dignity in the conversation. He robs you of fairness and exposes his lack of justice. Can such a man ever walk with virtue? No, for without justice, his path is crooked. To interrupt is to abandon wisdom, for wisdom listens before it speaks, reflects before it acts, and considers before it decides. Wisdom is slow to judgment and quick to learn. But the man who interrupts has closed his ears, rushed his thoughts, and exalted his ego. His interruption is not the act of wisdom, but the death of it. To interrupt is to throw away self. Discipline, for discipline holds the dex's tongue, disciplines the mind, and teaches patience. Without discipline, the soul is like a wild horse, running aimlessly, crashing into everything it touches. The man who interrupts shows he cannot bridle his tongue, cannot command his impatience, cannot master his own restlessness. Such a man cannot walk with virtue, for discipline is the very road upon which virtue walks, and to interrupt is to flee from courage. For courage is not loudness. Courage is not speaking over others. Courage is facing truth, even when it humbles you. Courage is standing silent when wisdom demands listening. But the interrupter is a coward in disguise. He interrupts not from courage, but from fear. Fear that his ideas will be overshadowed. Fear that his ego will not be fed. Fear that silence will expose his weakness. So beware of this man, for he cannot walk with virtue. He may boast of strength, but he has no discipline. He may speak of justice, but he grants none. He may parade as wise, but he will not listen. He may look bold, but he fears silence more than anything. He is unbalanced, ungrounded, unvirtuous, and without virtue, the Stoics taught, there is no good life. But here lies your strength. You need not become him. You need not respond to interruption with interruption, nor disrespect with disrespect. You, the Stoic, remain rooted in virtue. You let him reveal his emptiness while you remain full. You let him betray himself while you remain loyal to justice, wisdom, courage, and discipline. For the path of the interrupter leads away from virtue, but the path of the Stoic leads always toward it.